For those who haven't played one before, tabletop RPGs are a staple of nerd culture. By making characters and rolling dice, you and your friends go on a magical adventure, exploring and fighting in heroic stories. We're not talking about adventure today. Oh no. We're talking about hijinks. Specifically, unintended side effects through rules. I've decided to put it from least lethal to most lethal, so let's start off light. In the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons, gnome characters weigh on average about 40 pounds. If a gnome was a wizard, they could cast the spell Mage Hand, which conjures a spectral hand that can lift up to 10 pounds. Another spell, called Reduce, can reduce anything to an eighth of its size and weight. Combine these two by casting Reduce on yourself, then picking yourself up with Mage Hand, and you can carry yourself into the sky. Casualties? A single gnome if they drop themselves, more likely possible plot derailment. A bit more vicious now, we're talking werewolves. With 5th edition, these beasts are immune to all physical damage, except if it was dealt with a weapon of silver. In previous editions, falling damage is considered bludgeoning, which is physical. Not in 5th edition. Falling is now untyped. It can't be defended against. Might not sound like much, but consider the noble cliff. Now consider kicking off the dumbass for standing next to the kryptonite. Casualties? 1 werewolf, maybe not if it survives the fall. Oh no! This Pathfinder 1st edition adventure has turned to chaos and your doctor player is hurt. When characters are below 1 HP, they begin to die and take additional damage for each turn until it reaches a specific number. You need more time to save them, but luckily for you, there's a way to give them 3 extra rounds of life. Drown them! What are you doing to him? I'm saving his life! When you begin drowning, it takes you 3 rounds to fully die from it. But in the first round, your health is reset to 0. Usually, that'd be a loss of life. In this specific circumstance, it actually puts you up instead of down. Casualties. Possibly 1 if you don't take them out of a puddle. In 4th edition, Vorpal weapons are special. When you deal max damage with an attack, you get to roll again. Problem here is if you use a classic dice, that's a 1 in 6 chance, and as you get stronger, you add even more dice. So if you took a weapon that already did low damage and made it even smaller, the dice would shrink too. Eventually, you get so small, it does 1 dice of damage, as in a dice with 1 side on it. You roll the 1-sided dice. Each time, because there's only 1 side, you hit max damage. So you roll again, and you roll again, and you roll again. Repeat until infinity. Casualties, whatever gets in your way. For my next trick, you're going to need 2,280 peasants in a straight line along with a big stick. Doesn't matter what edition you do this in, but for this, we're going to use 5th edition D&D. Tell all those filthy peasants to pass on the stick when they grab it. Tell the peasant in front of the queue to throw the stick when they get it, and pass the stick to the peasant at the end. The rules say reactions trigger whenever the conditions are met. When you give to the stick to the person at the end, they pass it on to the person in front, and do the same repeatedly down the line until it reaches the front. Thing is, a turn in these games is 6 seconds, and all the peasants will pass it forward. If all peasants are 5 feet apart, the stick will travel 1,188 miles per hour to the front. The final peasant who chucks it will be throwing it at Mach 1.546. With the rules for falling damage, the stick will smack into whatever pissed you off and deal 300 d6 damage, which means you roll 300 6-sided dice. An adult red dragon, the classic beast on the front of the boxes, is just chilling. He's making some cocoa. He's having a nice morning. Then BAM! Gets struck, even at minimum damage. That dragon is DEAD. Casualties. Whatever gets in your way again. But from range this time. Now let's go peaceful. Let's not think about murder for once. We've gone back to D&D 3rd edition. We're going to just cast a few simple spells. Let's start off with casting a wall of iron, which makes a literal wall of iron. No metaphors here. Now cast fabricate. Turn the iron into weaponry. Using the huge amount of raw resources and using math, you can create 21,604 masterwork daggers. Each sells for 151 gold coins, which totals 3,262,204 gold coins. Casualties? Starvation of thousands as markets across the globe crash. Not for you though, you're set for life. The finale, the Jank. Time to truly ruin a 3.5 D&D edition game? Learn the Locate City spell. It allows you to find a city within the next 10 miles, and increases 10 miles for each level. Let's take an example. This is our wizard. Meet Robert. Robert here is level 10. He can find cities within 100 miles of him. If he stood in the centre of London, this would be the radius. By learning a special trait which he can apply to the spell, he can add 2 cold damage to it. He learns another, which makes it electric. He learns another on top of that, which changes the damage and makes it a reflex save, which is a chance to dodge for damage. Mad with power, he adds another trait, adding explosive spell. That allows another reflex save, and if the victim doesn't defend against it, they're blasted to the edge of the area. If they're in a dead centre, that's 100 miles away. They take 1 dice of falling damage for every 10 feet they travelled. From the centre, that would be 52,800 dices of damage. For comparison, the average commoner has at most 4 hit points. Casualties? You have become Death, destroyer of worlds. Shame you're directly in the centre of it. I hope you've all enjoyed our journey from the humble flying gnome to reenacting horrors of our own history. Comment below with literally anything interesting, and if I like it, I might make a video. Thanks for watching.